Hello, everybody. My name is Julio G. Cintron. Welcome to the Sea of Thieves inspired Ship and Salsa podcast, where we talk about human relationships, we talk about the gaming culture, and we talk about personal growth. Today, we have our very first interview, just so happened to be one of the greatest streamers in Sea of Thieves. Not just the greatest streamer, the greatest thief in Sea of Thieves. So it's going to be an amazing honor for me to welcome him in. Hopefully, I'm going to go ahead and do some questions based on just fundamental knowledge so that you guys can get to know him. For anybody that doesn't know about Sea of Thieves, you can actually find him on Twitch, HitboTC. He is most definitely one of the leading professionals in that streaming game and other games as well. So you guys can find him on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitch, just all over. So if you guys have any doubts, just go ahead and join our Discord, Olive Nebula. We can go ahead and orientate you on how to get a hold of his amazing content. This man is an absolute legend. And I want to let you guys know this is a treat. This is for my Discord community specifically, but I'm sure that any person that would appreciate the gaming culture and a success story or journey would appreciate this. And I'm going to go ahead and welcome him in.
Hey,
there we
what's
go.
up, man?
Hey, all good, brother. Oh, I'm always gonna have that little inner, like, just, oh my God, it's HitboTC thing. I hope you don't mind it.
No, it's good. You got a couple things wrong, though. Okay, not number one, I'm not the greatest streamer, and number two, I'm not the greatest thief. I'm just a guy.
Of the thief, what? You are recognized from, because I know there's a PvP aspect and all that stuff in game, right?
Yeah.
But in my mind, whenever you have a game and you have like a title for it, like in this case being Sea of Thieves, you won. you won the game. You've been known as the greatest thief. Maybe not in the whole community, but definitely in my community. You've been.
I stole your heart.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. It had to happen. You're the greatest thief.
You gotta steal the hearts of the people that follow
you. That very first time that I found you in the seas, I remember. I think you guys were stealing a veil.
Okay.
I remember because I actually speak Spanish primarily, and I wouldn't stop calling it veal for the longest time. And I realized I had to watch your stream to realize just how wrong I actually was.
No. You're probably right. I probably say it wrong. As we all know, I don't know how to pronounce anything. So.
Oh no! Whenever I get nervous, I go full Sofia Vergara. I talk like this, and I don't know because the cannonballs and the things go to the right. Like all that stuff just comes out. I don't know why. It's just some sort of mechanism inside where I think in Spanish, I talk in English. It's just a mess.
Hey,
I realized all that.
Actually, honestly, I wish my kids knew how to speak other languages. I don't even know how to speak English, so I think that's actually pretty awesome that you know more than one language, to be honest with you.
So thank you, brother. Before anything else, I just want to really thank you. I appreciate the fact that you're giving me some of your valuable time, because I know that I see you totally as a professional, as somebody that really strives to make the best of what you do. And I feel that you've created such a pathway for so many people that are trying to stream Sea of Thieves, that you are one of the leading people. Like that is something that I feel it's fair to say. And you've inspired me. You've inspired so much of us. I know that my Discord community just wants to know some things about you, because most of them are either I'm live and they're in the chat, or I'm not live and they're in your chat. We jump because they know how incredible your content is. So I wanted to just ask you some fundamental stuff just for the fun of it, so people can get to know you. For anybody that doesn't know about you, that actually goes into my Discord, I'm pretty sure that because of this interview, I'll be able to redirect them to your streams so they can have fun.
Sure.
They can see how things get done and Sea of Thieves.
I'll do my best.
The first question that I know that I was very curious about, I know that in my life, I'm also a family man. I have a stepson. He's 7 years old. At this point, I realized some things about life. He's smarter than I am in a lot of aspects. My wife is definitely as well in command. I've been in the military for some time now. I'm retiring now, but I know for a fact that she's my real commander. You know what I mean? But there's some people that really influence my life, and I'm sure that there are for you as well.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask, what are the 3 most influential people in your life, and how have they impacted you for you to be able to get to where you are on a either personal or just professional level?
Wow, what a question.
I know they're pretty profound, so don't feel free to just kind of, not all of them, but feel free to just kind of like think about it and stuff like that, because I know that unless I had time to prepare, I would have never really just come up with all this, but regardless, I know that in the surface, like in the mind, there's always like something just immediately comes to mind, to the very least, the people that are like in your life, surrounding your life and all that stuff.
I mean, so like immediately, like the man I am today, that would go to my best friend. So that's my wife.
Nice.
The influence that she's had on me, the things that she's helped me kind of get through, the feedback that she's provided, she's helped me be a better version of myself.
Yeah.
Big time. So number one,
That's
I would
awesome.
say number one influence, I would probably have to just give that to my wife. She's believed in me when I didn't really believe in myself on a lot of things. And I think in a lot of this content creation stuff, it just comes down to that. It's like, who's going to be there in your corner when, there's only a couple people there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that, are pushing against you. Like, who's there for you? Who's going to be there? Like, there's this quote I think of a lot. And this is why I refer to my wife as, my best friend. I can only have one. She's my best.
Yeah.
There's this quote that I think about. It's friendship means nothing if it's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like in times of inconvenience, who shows up? Like when it's hard, who shows up? And my wife's always been there. Before we were even dating, we were just friends, and she was just been a solid friend. She's one of those people that's just really loyal. So she's definitely number one. And then the other 2 people I would say is my parents.
Yeah.
And that just comes down to like my dad and my mom. I come from a big family of
nice.
10 people total, 5 sisters, 2 brothers. So like a big family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are y'all competitive by any chance? Like brother to brother, all
my
that?
Little brother's Lobo's a little competitive, but me and my older brother, we're just chill. We just hang out, whatever. My dad, I got a lot of the inspiration from him because he was a big factor in like showing me how to learn. I think because he didn't give us, like, my dad gave us computers to mess around with as kids. Like, he didn't want us to mess around with it, but he's like, hey, here's a computer, here's how it works. And then all of a sudden we're messing around with it. So remember, I'll never forget, like, I think I deleted like the systems file for Windows way back in the day. I destroyed
my lord.
Destroyed the computer. It's gone. And me and my brother had to figure out how to install Windows, get it back installed before my dad got home.
That's when YouTube tutorials probably come in handy, right?
No, there's no YouTube back then. There's the dial-up, bro.
Yeah, my lord.
Way long ago.
Okay.
I think it was Windows. I want to say it was Windows, but it might have been just, I don't even know. I don't even remember.
Oh my lord.
Not good. But my dad had a lot of influence in that, and then obviously so did my mom. I often think like we're just reflections of the people that are closest to us.
Yeah.
And so like I can't take credit for a lot of the things that are like, in fact, I would say I can't take credit for anything that is good in my life, because everything is from the investment of others that they've poured into me. So like my parents, my kids teach me every day. So, like, there's all these things that are constantly influencing you. And the moment that you think you're the it's like, that's where you miss it, because it's like you're not. And if you think you're this great person and you did that all yourself, you're missing all of these other people pouring into you. Like, I've had so many friends I can have had pour into me. And I know you're talking about like the 3 most influential people. I would say at the core of everything, though. So it's like, here's the 3 people, probably at the top of the list, but at the core of all of that is like
a culmination kind of everybody.
I would say the core of it is actually just something even bigger than just people. It's like your faith in something. So for me, amen
to that.
So for me, like my faith, like I'm a Christian. I talk about this a lot. And I have a pretty good, strong foundation in my faith. But without getting too, I mean, I could talk about this for a long
Yeah.
time, but without getting too far into the weeds, I think there's a lot of Christians that kind of get this kind of thing wrong.
Yeah.
And they're out there, they're kind of sharing the message of what Jesus would want wrong. And
Yeah.
I always kind of attribute the story of Jesus talking to the Pharisees. There's a story in the Bible that Jesus is talking to these Pharisees,
Yeah.
Pharisees being the religious people of the day, and he called them a brood of vipers. I always found that so interesting. It's like you're calling the religious people, the Christians of the day when Jesus was around, basically a brood of vipers. And I don't know what that meant back then,
Yeah.
but I don't think being called a brood of vipers is probably a good thing. Probably like equivalent to some big swear words maybe today. This is how I envision it, right?
Yeah, no, and I gotta admit, it's the first time I hear it, and I am a Christian as well. I have to admit though, for a few years now, I've been working on my path towards it, because I've been orientating myself not just on the feel of it, but on the actual information that I need to know to be on the right path.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. Honestly, I'm definitely gonna go look into that.
Yeah, because I say this because I want to give context. So it's like, I just think Christians get it wrong. When you read about Jesus and what he did, he just loved people. He went into places where no Christians today wouldn't go, and that's a shame. There's some Christians that would. There's a lot that would. But it's just like, when you ask me, like, what does that mean to be a Christian? It just means to love God and love people. And here's the deal: if I'm wrong at the end of my life, I would have spent my life evaluating myself to be a better version of myself, and to love on others the way that I would want to be loved. And then if at the end of my life there is nothing on the other end, then what did Hitbo do? Oh, he just loved people, man. He was just there for others his whole life.
Oh,
yeah, there's
Lord,
nothing,
yeah.
there's no God or anything, but man, he was just a good dude. It's like, oh, I'm solid. I'm not
It's
here. I'm not
amazing.
sitting out here judging people. I don't care. It's not my job to judge people. I'm just here to love people.
I know there would be a portion of that in the end that people would say, like, man, and his dad jokes and, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and his dad jokes, subpar at best, but not too bad.
That is awesome, brother. I gotta congratulate you. Honestly, that type of mentality, I've seen that people that speak those words, regardless, just coincidentally, that's my opinion, but are always blessed in so many ways and so many aspects. And if not in the moment, they don't feel that in the moment, they eventually get into so many really good things and as far as personal progress in all aspects. Once those beliefs hit in, I've seen that in like results in people's lives, and it's fantastic. I appreciate you so much from the bottom of my heart as a Christian for what you do. It's one of the main reasons why I absolutely love your community. It's about progress in all aspects. Yeah. So again, thank you. The next question would be, what's one lesson your present job, so streaming, has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life? Because I know there's a lot of streamers out there that are trying to really break through those barriers, and I feel there's a lot of life elements that really hold them back. So as far as that, one lesson that you really say, like, wow, if I wouldn't have learned this?
Good questions.
I know for me, for example, I know some of the things other than streaming, right, would be perseverance. I was a very, very hefty boy in high school. I was on the Burger King diet. My mom did not cook at all. Like, the stove was filled with decorations. That's when you knew that Hot Pockets and White Castle were the main diet. And whenever I went from high school to college, I dropped about 100 pounds. It was a lot. Awesome. Yeah, sadly, DoorDash has been a culprit and has made me gain half of that. But 100 pounds from high school to college, and it was just perseverance.
Yeah,
that is one of my personal ones that I feel that if you just keep trying, right? But
yeah, no, that's really good. Like, I think some people see me where I'm at today, and they're like, "Oh man, yeah, I'd love to get there." And me and my wife we joke about this because it's like, you don't see all the early mornings, and the people don't see for 1 year straight, I was waking up at 5 a.m. pulling 2 jobs. Waking up at 5 every day, doing my day job, because I talked to my boss at the time, and he didn't really care when I did my work, as long as my work got done. So I was waking up at
Gotcha.
5, working till 9, streaming from 9 to 2, and then from 2
Oh
to
wow.
6, I was working. I went back to my day job and finished like stuff and all that. So I was running at like a large. I couldn't maintain it forever. But I did
Yeah.
that for about a year, and that's when things really started to progress for the stream.
Okay.
So like I don't know like the quality necessarily, but there's this there's like a you got to be willing to do you got to be willing to do the work. You
Yeah.
got to like streaming isn't like some people just blow up. And that sucks because you're not them, you know. Like dang
Yeah.
it. It's like some people just like magically blow up one day, and you're like, I don't
They just have
understand it,
that
but
that
there they
thing.
are. They don't even have the thing. They're just literally in the right spot at the right part. And that's another thing with streaming I've discovered is like you could have all of the right things,
Hmm.
do all of the right things, and never grow. I've seen amazing content creators that deserve just some of the, I mean, they deserve the love. They're amazing. They're incredible. I've sat there and just like watched them, listened to them. Like, man, they
Yeah.
have such a good presence. And then sometimes it's just like the moment's not there. So there's a moment that happens. Like for me, I know exactly this moment I'm describing. So it's like you got to build your foundation.
Yeah.
So when this moment shows up, you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Uh, there's this. It was 20. It was summer 2018. It was the Twitch drops for Spartan, the Spartan set. It's like
Oh God, I'm a fan of
14.
Halo. By the way,
Yeah,
I saw that helmet in your background. I had the Ethernet cable from one room to the other with a whole bunch of friends, and we were screaming at each
yeah,
other
yeah,
from room to room.
yeah,
And
yeah.
my
It's the
mom
best.
would get in between. Like
It's
I
the
had
best.
that
Yeah,
whole thing.
it's the best. Uh, the what was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Oh, no, it was the Halo drops. It was Halo
Yeah.
drops for Sea of Thieves. So I just got Sea of Thieves partner, which meant I qualified for these Twitch drops. And I remember telling Mrs. Hip, I was like, babe, it's gonna be 14 days. It's gonna be incredibly difficult to pull this off every day, but I'm gonna try to stream every day.
Okay.
Obviously except Sunday. And I think I can grow this thing for real. And then in that month, I grew 15,000 followers or something like that. And there's just
Wow.
this trajectory from that moment. You can look at like the charts and stuff too
Yeah.
on like Twitch tracker and all that. It's like it all comes back to that pivotal moment where I
Wow.
recognize the moment that I had. And so in that moment, I remember just reading from some other partners after,
Mhm.
or just like seeing like some people were really tired or like they didn't do every day. And
Yeah.
it's like I pushed myself further. That was a really difficult thing to like really hit that because I was still at that time I wasn't doing it full time, and so I wasn't used to the full time hours. And then I was still doing my day job and
Gotcha.
still doing all of this stuff. It was basically like full work days, from 5 to like 8 o'clock every day. And I
That
still had
must
my
have been
family,
tough.
and then I still
Wow.
had my kid, my eldest at the time,
Yeah.
just him. And then so that went for 14 days. I just remember it's like when you run a race, it's like a marathon. Like
Yeah.
who's going to make it to the finish line, and the people who don't won't benefit from crossing the finish line. And it's not
Yeah.
to say that people who can't do that, like you can only do what your max is, but I think that's what the whole point is. Sometimes to grow, you just got to be willing to put the work in.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome, honestly. And I feel like if I at any point got even close to realizing where the priorities could switch so quickly was the first time you rated me in the stream. I think I cried, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure I cried. I'm not gonna tip your toe over. I cried, and it was such a shock to me to have so many people watch you, other than the friends that you've met, the small group of friends that you've had. That it really shocked me and and really showed me how I could switch priorities as far as the professional aspect of life so quickly. And so wow, it's amazing that you handled it so well, and you really just took advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, it's just like I mean, I love it. So like I love streaming, but when you ask me like what do I love about it, I've thought about this often, and it's like I enjoy playing video games as a person. Been playing video
Yeah.
games my whole life, like you. Been played Halo. I still remember
Yes,
Halo
sir.
1 on the Xbox.
Oh yeah.
I stare down at the grass. I'm like, wow, it's so real. Look at it
Yeah.
now, you're like, wow, what's wrong with you? But like before that, you don't understand the kind of games you were playing before Halo, guys.
Yeah.
Uh, but I remember, so I've been playing video games my whole life, but then like, if you ask me what I love about streaming today, like what is it that gets me excited about it? What gets me up in the morning? What gets me editing videos late at night?
Yeah.
Like after a full day, like what gets me to like Tall Tale just dropped, like, okay, I'm gonna sit there and record and edit and voiceover and eat dinner over the computer while I'm sitting there and then like pour out with my kids and pour out with my wife and then stay up until midnight editing that thing, create the thumbnail, schedule the video, post it, and then wake up the next day and start streaming. Like
Yeah.
what gets me to do all that? It's a really simple answer, and that is the people. Like
The people.
it is the people that I love to spend time with, because it's like I have the it's weird to be in a place of influence and weird to be in a place where just me responding or me being a part of somebody's day like helps them get through it. I've had so many people within my community just share some like the incredibly hard times that they're going through, and
Yeah.
they share that like, the streams are just a place for them to maybe forget about it or just like help them process or whatever the case might be. It's like, this stream, my content, at the end of the day, there's a story that I always think about, and there's been a lot more since, but there's this like story that I think about. There's this individual who was going through an incredible hard time, lost their father, and then they were going into some serious depression, and they stopped reaching out to their friends in their personal life, and all they were doing was kind of showing up to the stream. And their friends knew that, so their friends actually emailed me, reached out to me, and they said, hey,
Mhm.
can you check on him, because he's not responding to us. So I set up a call with him on like Discord and just chatted with him for like an hour or two, talking about him, how he has a purpose in life and how he has a future, and that
Amen.
uh everyone is created unique, and like you have to do only you can do what you were designed to do. And to like there's hope. I just was giving him hope. And then um like he was from what he was describing, it sounded like he was close to the end for him, like he was wanting to like
Yeah.
be at his end.
Wow.
um and so I talked with him, prayed with him, shared, gave him like just hope. And then like years later he follows up with some time to time. I think he's like dating now, married,
Yeah,
and like
okay.
started a business or something. Like he's
Oh
doing really,
wow.
really good.
Big steps.
And it's like, that's
Wow.
what I hate to imagine like where he would be if I wasn't just doing my part. My part
Yeah.
is just being me. Like I'm not trying to be anything else. I'm not trying to be another streamer. I think that's something that a lot of streamers kind of mess up on, is they'll see somebody and they're like, I want to be like that person. It's like, no, you just gotta be yourself.
Hmm.
Um and that's the biggest thing that like you got to do. Is like I figured that out a long time ago, because the way I grew up is like I was always trying to blend in.
Hmm.
You show me your friends, I'll show you your future, kind of
Oh,
deal. And so
yeah.
like I was a reflection of my friends, but I found myself in my early 20s like lost. I didn't know who I was. It's very
Gotcha.
lost, confused. um and I was struggling with my self identity a little bit, of like who am I? Like what do I care about? How do I really feel about things? And you hang out with some friends, like I was just a chameleon. I just blended in.
Yeah.
Uh, so I went through this process of just like really determining what I wanted in my life, who I was as a person, like in my faith even too. Like that's kind of the core of it too. Is I mean, I don't want to get too far into it, but it's like
Yeah.
Christians have like this Christianese that they talk, and it always bothered me. I'm like, I'm not doing that bullshit anymore. I'm like, I'm done. Like
Yeah.
I'm so over this fake thing. Like I want to be
Yeah.
authentic in my life. I want to be authentic with every part of me.
Amen to
So
that.
like, what does
Yeah.
that look like?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of like figured that out. And it's
Yeah.
actually one of the things that you asked my wife. She remembers the moment she knew I was the one for her. It was I was
Yeah.
dressed up as God, who was it? Harry Potter. It's the big guy. What's his
The
name?
Hagrid.
Hagrid. Thank you.
Hagrid.
Dressed up as Hagrid for the Deathly Hallows Part 1, I think it was. Invited our friend group out, and then another friend was really into Harry Potter. Like, I want to dress as somebody. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll dress as well. And I just
Yeah.
didn't care. I'm like, I show up as Hagrid, I had this huge beard, huge parrot wig, and just
Oh,
like
have
showing
you
up.
ever showed a picture of this in a VOD by any chance? I'll go right back
I
to it.
have, yeah. I have the picture somewhere.
It's all good.
Let's see. I actually think I have it on my phone. But that was just me being like, it's like she was attracted. She said she was attracted to the confidence of me knowing who I was, and
Okay.
that I think is a universal thing, because I think people are trying to find, like, life is always trying to push their agenda on you. Life is
Yeah.
always trying to push what they want you to be.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I believe strongly that everyone is created uniquely, and
Yeah.
everyone has unique calling and purpose on their life. So
Amen.
it's like only you can be you. No one, if someone were to say, hey, I want you to be Hitbo for a day, they would feel stress. But if someone told me to be Olive for a day, I would feel stressed. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, I'm not you.
Yeah.
And I can't be you. And if you tell me to be you, like, I don't know how to do that.
That's such a deep message, because honestly, I think nowadays there's a lot of well, back in the day, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have all this as much social media at all. Like, it was dial up, so you wouldn't really have been exposed to so much need as far as the standards and the social norm. So it's like you have to be this. If you're not this, you're not right, type of thing. I feel that so many people are going through that, where they finding the identity nowadays is like a needle in a haystack compared to what it was before. So it's even harder, in my opinion, because then as soon as you find your identity, that's what you can really offer, like in my opinion, to Jesus, to the Lord. It's like and if you don't do that, you're never really going to be able to tackle life in a genuine way. And it's such a deep message. It really is. Wow.
It kind of like jumps to the it's the core you. It's the real you. It breaks it. It's like you trying to figure out who you are. But it's trying to figure it out from the perspective of, again, I believe that you are created uniquely. You have a purpose in life that only you can do, only you can fulfill. Like, for all I know, I'll get hit by a car tomorrow, and then my life will be complete, and then I'll go review my life, and hopefully within that you'll see like purpose that was completed. Like if all it was, if like, I'll say it like this: it's like that gentleman I was talking about, who I spent some time with, and like just tried to give him hope. It's like if all streaming was for that person, it would be worth it to me. Like, if it shut down tomorrow and I didn't stream another day and I jumped to another job and did something else, like, if all it was for that one person, that would have been worth it for me. Because what's life supposed to be about? Like, I'm not trying to like make it some serious thing. Like, I love having fun. I love being a goofball and being silly and all that crap. Like, I enjoy that. It's just me naturally. Like, I'm just a person. But like, I think often about that. Like, what is life? What's the purpose of life? And then as a father, I'm thinking about it more and more with my kids, because it's just like, what I want them to not get lost in the weeds of the world. The world will try all their best to like tell them who they are, or direct them in a way, or influence them. And it's like, even as a father, it's like, my goal is not to influence them. My goal is to unlock the purpose in their life, to help them discover what their purpose is, or their calling. Like, it's just to help them figure that out. Like, I have my own hopes and dreams, sure, for them, but at the core of that, it's just, I want them to do what they're passionate about. Like, I don't know, my kid's really into planes right now. He might want to be a plane engineer or something. I don't know. Cool, whatever, awesome. Or he'll want to be a bus driver because he loves helping like kids and teaching. Like, my wife was a teacher. Like, there's no right or wrong answer to that. Like, I want to be proud of my kids no matter what they do, but it's just kind of this idea of like, my only purpose is to help people figure out who they are.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is awesome. That is Honestly, from my point of view, I just want you to know at all points, you always have my support in your community, because I myself have gone through a path where I feel that everything that you're saying is just such a good path. It's such a good ideology, such a good mentality to have, that I feel like I've reached a point where I am more in service. And I feel like we all get to a point where if we have personal growth and we really do the things that we need to do, eventually you reach that point of service where you have to give back. Like you found yourself, you really do what you love doing, and therefore you should express to the world who you really are after you found your identity. So you always have my support, brother, at all times. Okay, I'll take all the madrinas. Give them all to me.
I'm drinking madrinas right now, dude. I live on that stuff. That stuff is too
good. Next question would be, what is a funny story your family would tell about you that you would like to share? So something that you would definitely be able to share. I know I know for me, it always had to do with me singing for some reason in private, and them discovering me. But that I'll leave for another day.
That's gotta be like a dad thing. I don't even know. I make me think of a funny story that you just shared. There's this time, this is Hitbo sent me a clip. Like we have a baby camera, so like the baby camera will pick up when there's loud noises. I'm home by myself.
Yeah.
And I was singing so loud. I think I was singing an opera. I just like being super dumb, like the Phantom of the. And I was just like super dumb, super loud, like so loud it was picking up on the webcam or on the baby camera. So it recorded it, flagged her. She's like, "Why is it going off when I know Hitbo's home by himself?" And she sent me the video of it because it records like the last like 30 seconds. And she's like, "What's this?"
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my Lord. It always has to do with that type of thing, huh? It's singing and dancing. And back in the day, I would actually know the lyrics to the music because of the fact that you always had the CD player, so you would always have to listen to the same 7 songs over and over again. That would get beat into my brain. I remember, I know the whole Linkin Park by heart. And I believe that you've already... I actually wanted to share this because I know that you said this on stream, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday, about Captain Falcor.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, is there a streamer you look up to? And I know that you've admired Captain Falcor because of the content that he's created for a while. You mentioned he was like he's an OG streamer, and I honestly have seen his stuff, and I'm amazed at how much he knows about the lore on his own account, finding out about the stories also by comparing it to the game. I don't doubt that he has a whole university of people trying to figure out Sea of Thieves. And so regardless of that, though, I wanted to... Captain Falcor, he's amazing to me as well. Who's a streamer that you look up to?
Man, that's a tough one because I actually don't have just one. Okay. I think every streamer has like a really good
like a niche.
Niche. Like I'm an observer, so I don't know. I just observe people. So like when I watch streamers, I observe a lot of people. So there's each one has like a different like ability, and it's fascinating to watch them kind of thrive. So like a couple just off the top of my head. So Falcor was probably early on. He's amazing. I was talking about him yesterday. I was at 2,000 subs at this point. I think streaming occasionally on YouTube. He was at 58,000 at this time. He's like much larger now, but I remember emailing him, asking him if he would like to do a co-stream with me, not thinking he'd say yes. He said yes, and I just thought that was... I still remember this to this day. Obviously, I thought that was like the coolest thing, that he was willing to be down for that, because at that time I was really, really early on. I didn't think they would do stuff like that. I didn't think he'd do stuff like that. He's just a super solid dude. Yeah, Fuzzy. Fuzzy and I have grown our content together. Fuzzy Bond, we've grown our content together from the very beginning. So like at 300 subs, and he was at 300 subs, we've been growing our channels together.
Nice.
And so like those two guys are great. Crotuck is awesome. Crotuck has a really good way with people. I don't know if you know Mason Live. I know it's called Mason.
Oh, now. Mason, yeah.
So Mason, I would say probably had one of the biggest influences on me. Just with how he hung out with the community. You can tell when you watch a streamer, like it's like the content is just like the game is just kind of second and the
Yeah.
people are first. And that
Yeah.
was when I would hang out with Mason or watch Mason, that's what you pick up on. And I always like I appreciated that. And I remember just thinking like that's what I want for my community. I
Gotcha.
want my community to know that I care more about them than the content I'm making. And I don't really care if I win or lose. I obviously want to win. I like to steal and have fun. But like really at the end of the day, it's like me failing is actually kind of funny too. So I'm down for just people having a good time in my stream. Like it's
Yeah.
all good. I don't really care. Um so Mason, and then like I know people are gonna say this one, but like Summit 1G I always thought was interesting too. He, he
Some,
he's got like a realism about him, authenticity. I don't agree with everything he says, but he doesn't care what I think.
yeah.
And I think that's cool. He doesn't care what I think, not because he's a big streamer. I think
Uh-huh.
that's just him being genuine to himself. Like, I don't really care what you think. I want to say my mind, say my piece.
Yeah.
And that is admirable in its own right,
Yeah.
you know? So,
Yeah, I remember whenever I actually learned that recently from I'm retiring now, but in the very last naval ship that I was, there was a guy, him and I were like oil and water. Like we did not function together. We did not do things together. It was something just so and the bad thing the real one of the biggest like lessons that I had is that you're in a middle tube with this guy. You can't go anywhere for months. So you have to. I got into a point where it's like pressurized. I think I quoted Andrew Tate. Pressurized life, something like that. It was just a matter of respect at the end of it. So it was like everybody has something to offer in my mind.
yeah.
But I don't agree with a lot of people as far as their opinions on certain things, but I can definitely relate in that aspect because this man and I actually ended up being being a relationship that we both equally respected each other to a point where we would prefer to be around each other
That's funny how
than
that
other
works.
people.
That's
Yeah,
funny how it works.
yeah, it's crazy how that worked,
My old
regardless of our
My old boss
NFL
was like
teams.
that. Yeah.
Uh,
My old boss was like that. I really didn't like him. There were two. It's been when I was a graphic designer. It's 2 jobs ago. But yeah, we were just like we butted heads all the time. I just did not like them.
Yeah.
But it occurred to me one day that it's like this is just how they're bent, and like I started to see it kind of from their perspective on things, and so like they actually helped me become a way better graphic designer than I was before uh because of all the things that they thought and like how they operated. So it's just fascinating to me. Like if you're asking me today, like they're one of the most influential people in my graphic design as an
Wow.
artist because there's just the way they thought. But at first it was like that. It was just like
Yeah.
constant, like I don't like you right
Yeah.
now. I want to be around you right now.
We
You're
were-
wrong. You are wrong.
Yeah. It was exactly like that, but that's so awesome that you put that message out there, because honestly that I think that a lot of people would need to hear that, so that there's a little bit more empathy when it
Yeah.
comes to empathy and just being conscientious of one's personal growth as well. I know I say that phrase a lot, but it just all these things, ideologies, mentalities, I consider them like tools for people to be able to grow, and I just feel that phrase is like appropriate for it. Personal growth is something that's so of an individual
Mhm.
that all that can really be provided for that is like words.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. Have you been? Oh yeah, okay. So I think you just answered the next one. Well, kind of, and in a certain aspect, but I know that people were interested in knowing what has been your favorite job and your least favorite job.
I would say what I'm doing right now, obviously, it's my favorite job. That's
Yeah.
because it just feels like it doesn't feel like work. And when you get into a
Yeah.
place, you don't feel like you're working.
Yeah.
Even though you know it's work and you treat it as work, but you don't really feel like you're working.
Yeah.
You just kind of find your element. You're just like, I'm in my zone, and it's awesome. Feels great.
Yeah.
Hard work, but
The
it
goal.
feels amazing. Yeah. So I would say it's just what I'm doing right now. And again, I'll reiterate, the reason that is though, is not because it's like, oh, I get to play video games all day. Like when I tell people it's like I'm a Twitch streamer, it's like they ask me, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a Twitch streamer. Like, oh, you just play video games all day? I'm like, yeah, sure. And like in my mind, I'm like, they can think whatever they want. A lot of people like will try to degrade me for it. Like you should play video
Yeah.
games all day, like whatever. It's like, yeah, whatever. You don't. If that's what you think of me, you don't really know. Because to me, what I'm doing all day is I'm hanging out with people, and I'm spending time with people. I'm investing into people. I'm being there for people on their hard days.
Yeah.
It's just like just having a good time and hanging
Yeah.
out and helping people with humor. And it's like laughter is a great medicine, right? So
It
there's
is.
a lot of people that I don't know, just being there for people is incredibly important. And at the end of the day, like what's life about? It's
Yeah.
not about stuff. It's about
Yeah.
people. About family. It is.
Yeah. Amen.
Just quoting.
Oh wait. Oh no, it's all good. There you go.
It's all about family. And then my least favorite job I worked at Office Max. And that's only because I got so bored there. It's so boring.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I think I couldn't go into a cubicle after seeing Fight Club for some reason.
Fair.
It just like after a certain point, it's like, oh my god, the frustration, all that stuff.
Yeah, I've been a motion graphics artist for over a decade. So like that's kind of
Nice.
that's what I was doing before I went full-time streaming. I
Yeah.
love that. I love all that. So that's marketing, branding. I learned branding, website design. I do all of that stuff. I love all of that. So I'm doing like a side business with that. It's unrelated.
No, yeah,
I can
that's
never
totally
not
fine.
do more than one thing.
That's
But
great.
Office
That's
Max
honestly
is a
amazing.
job that I absolutely hated because it was just so boring. I was a salesman. Like,
Yeah.
I was like one of those honest salesmen that would just tell people, it's like, you don't want this printer that's $400. You want this one that's $100 because it's way better for you. All you need to do is print this. You don't need to spend all this money on this stupid printer. I know it's on the sale right now or whatever, but it's not really on sale because we upped the prices last week. So when we put it on sale, it'd be the same price that was up last week. Let's come over here to this printer. This printer's way better. They fired me.
Oh my god, totally understandable though, because the sales, all that stuff. I could never do that. I would never leave my accent. The Sophia Regatta. I can't. I don't like lying, regardless of playing a pirate game. I don't like lying.
The truth is, it was a low volume store, so we got fired because we got like me and this other dude got fired together because we were just there's nothing to do. It was a low volume store. They made us get there at like 6 a.m. The store didn't open until 9. For everyone who's in like retail, you'll know it's like you'd sit there and you'd face your aisles to make them look good. There's a couple things you'd have to do before the store opened, and then there's nothing. It's like, okay, so what do we do now? Like, I'm really tired. I kind of want to fall asleep. But me and this like it's like not a manager, it was like a supervisor. He'd open the store. We just started inventing games to play.
Inventing games to play.
Paper airplane contest, waiting for the store to open.
What was that movie with
hide it from anybody? I got sat down by the manager. She's like, "Hey, we saw you playing airplanes and paper airplanes.
Oh,
All right,
no.
we gotta let you go, buddy. It's like, you're not working." I'm like, "There's nothing to do. What do you mean I'm not working? I'm your best salesman. When customers show up, I sell. I talk to them. I help them. There's nothing to do right now. I love truck day because there's something to do." Fire me for paper airplanes. Fine.
Oh Lord.
Get out of here.
Oh, that's hey, honesty. That it worked out. You ended up where you need to be. That's awesome. I could not stop thinking of that movie. I think it was with Dane Cook. It was like they made like a little area. I think it was Dane Cook, Jessica something. It was like a Costco, and basically they made a room inside of the merchandise, like in some part of the merchandise, where they take away a box, and then you would go in through that where the box was, and they had a room with like poker and and TV. It was like a Costco. It was basically one of the aisles, one of the boxes were just designed to always be there, and then no one would ever touch it, and they would take it out. It was just a whole club. It was amazing.
I don't know what movie that is, but that's hilarious.
I'll find out about that later. It's gonna come to me as soon as we end, for sure. It's just one of those things. And after all of this, the last question I want to ask is in any way in a personal level, right? If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice in life, it could be at any point. It doesn't have to be in a particular point. It could be any point that you choose. what would it be?
Trying to figure that out right now
Y-
for my kid. So I would say it kind of goes back to that first thing we were talking about of knowing who you are. I think
Yeah,
that's so important, especially in today's world where there's so many things that are trying to tell you what you are,
yeah,
or your friends are influencing you. Like in my personal life, I would say I was unlocked when I went down that personal journey of figuring out who I was, what I believed, um,
gotcha.
and like again, it goes to that thing I always say. It's like
Yeah,
everyone is created uniquely with a purpose in life. That's it. You were created
nice.
with a purpose. So like when you spend your whole life not when you spend your whole life trying to be something that you're not, you'll end up like hating everything because you're
Yeah,
like, this isn't me. It's actually where I think relationships kind of break down. Like,
yeah.
again, people will ask me sometimes, I don't know why, but they'll ask me like for dating advice on stream. I'm like, I'll give you my best shot. Like the best advice I always have is like, you got to be real and authentic to who you are, because
Yeah,
oftentimes what will happen, and this is just like an example of what I'm like the core thing I'm trying to say, but like oftentimes what happens in relationships is like you will pretend to be somebody you're not. That person will fall in love with who you're pretending to be. And then eventually you can't
yeah,
put that facade anymore. You can't, it like wears off. And then the person discovers who you really are. And then it's just a 50-50 chance of like, do they really like you at this
yeah.
point? But if you were your normal, real, authentic self at the beginning, then when there would be no wearing off of the facade, there would be no wearing off of this mask that you're wearing. Like we wear too many people wear
Oh
masks.
yeah, yeah. They
Like,
we had a whole episode based on narcissistic tendencies, like abusive relationships,
yeah,
because that's basically the method that narcissists use. They because of trauma and a core of insecurity, they create a facade, and they
yeah,
use that facade to be able to infiltrate your life in genuine ways, where they can, from the core, start actually make you step on eggshells. And so I went through my own abusive relationship and everything and all that. And so in the recovery process, I realized that what tools there are as far as like psychological tools. I'm not in any point I've never studied this, but I have investigated a lot to try to see to a better level how can I understand what people do and why they do it. And so that facade is people genuinely narcissistic people genuinely use that. It's scary.
yeah.
It's
And
scary.
like even that, it's like I hear that and then I think about my kids. It's like how default they are. Like they're
Yeah,
just default human. Like my son the other day, we have this phrase when we're telling him to be patient. We're like, hey, you can wait a little while and you can wait with a smile. It's this phrase that we say. Literally yesterday, it's so funny. We're sitting at the table and my twin son, Bubba, who's his nickname, he's just not being patient. We're like, Bubba, you can wait a little while. What do we say, Junior? And he's like, we can wait a little while. And then he's cracked a joke. He's like, we can wait a little while and we can do it with a sad face. Is what they said. And I just started
oh,
laughing so hard. It's so funny. That's cracking me up.
oh my
But
lord.
it's like kids are default. So
Yeah,
like even like it's fascinating to me, like hurt people, that phrase. Like it's so key to things. And it's like people need to give others grace. People need to give others patience. Um,
amen.
obviously, don't put yourself in a position that's like dangerous for you or whatever. But like just this idea of like we were all created uniquely with a purpose, and life is out there trying to get us off track all the time. So if there's anything if anyone's watching this right now, like you're watching this right now, you're listening to this podcast, if there's anything I would want you to remember, it's just simply this is like you can only be you, and the world needs you to be who you were created to be. That's it.
Amen.
The world needs you, not some version of yourself that is hidden behind a mask, and it's not some version of yourself that you think people want you to be. Like you need to be who you were created. The world needs who you're created to be. Period. So figuring that out would probably be something that if I could help me as a younger self discover that earlier, I think that would have been better for me because I went through a lot of stuff for my in my own life because I was struggling to figure that stuff out. And I think
Yeah.
everybody does. But once you do like really lock in and know who you are, it makes life so much easier because then you
Yeah.
stop caring what people think. It's like I don't care what you think of me. It's like
Yeah.
you don't like me, that's fine. Like I'm complete the only person that is like at the end of the day I really value their opinion on who I am is my wife. So if she's
Yeah.
saying I'm off track somewhere, like that's something that's like a big red flag. It's like she knows me the best. So
Yeah.
if something's happening, she's gracious and very loving when she shares these things with me. But it's just like the only voice that like catches me off guard. It's like, what do you mean? What do you? And then I start to evaluate. It's like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
you're right. You know. But other people are like, man, I don't really like you, Hippo. It's like, okay, have a
Yeah.
good day. I love you
Yeah.
though. I hope you're doing good.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. The married life is so amazing. You were totally right in what you said one day. I can't quote it exactly, but you mentioned that how the married life is the best life, and I totally agree. It's once you find yourself and you actually can have that person that makes you vulnerable in the key times, so that you can be strong enough to tackle the world with your genuine identity, where people won't do anything for you because you are doing it for yourself. You're doing
Yeah.
everything that you need to do. It's so amazing. It's
Yes.
honestly I've been the happiest ever. Not because of
Yeah.
DoorDash, because of my married life.
I think I think like we were made to serve people. Like I don't think we were made to be selfish. When you're out there serving
Yeah.
others, you're serving your kids. Like being a parent, that's definitely something that's really uh, shocked me about how selfish I am. Um, and how much they challenge me to like not be selfish because it's like kid wakes you up at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
They peed their bed.
It's,
Like you
yeah.
love them, so you get up and you give them a hug. You tell them it's okay. It was an accident. You change their sheets. You change them out. You make sure that they're good. You tuck them back in bed, and you make sure they have clean sheets and clean beds. And you start throwing that stuff in the wash because you have to change it out in the next day. It's like
Yeah.
no one wants to do that. Like it's not super fun doing that, but like they need you. So
Yeah.
life often I don't know, it feels like life is about sacrifice, you know, serving other people.
Yeah.
That's when we talk like a marriage relationship, like what is marriage? Marriage is serving the your spouse in a way that puts them above you. And if you live a life like that, um, like you're going to benefit because you're just constantly putting others like it's just that loving your neighbor as yourself. It's like this concept that is like at a core human experience when you serve others and you put others above you, it, it humbles you and keeps you in a right state of mind for all things. Because
Yeah.
once you start getting off track, like I said earlier, it's like once you start like believing, like, oh, I did this. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, calm down. You didn't really do it, buddy. It's like there's your
Yeah.
mom and dad, or your friend, or your spouse, or your kids, or all these people that influenced your life that helped shape you, or that coworker, like you're talking about, that you didn't really like you butted heads with, but then all of a sudden there's this respect that's grown from that. But I guarantee you, there's a lot of things that you grew in as a person from interacting with them
Yeah.
that now it's like you can sit down and you can talk with anybody that has a difference of an opinion and not get offended or bothered by them because you can just sit down there and grow listening to what they say. Like you might have like a different opinion, but it's fascinating to me that we lost this ability to sit down, talk with people. Like I
Yeah.
think we should all be able at any like I can sit down with anybody, even if I have completely opposite beliefs,
Yeah.
and as long as it's respectful and we're not like yelling at each other, like we can sit down, we can talk and we can chat. And if I'm so uncomfortable with what I believe that I can't sit there and have a conversation with somebody, even to the point of um or and listen to them, like really listen to them, because sometimes I've changed my perspective on things simply by talking with somebody and they
Yep.
presented as something like an angle I didn't even think about or consider. It's like I grew as a person because of that. So
Wow. Yeah. That's incredibly factual. That as soon as you find somebody that you have respect for, regardless of the amount of opinions or perspectives that you have that might be different from them, you can actually learn from that. I learned from a lot of people. Every single time that I would get a new job, I've been everything, Hitbo. I've been a waiter, a cashier, you know that little sign that you start twirling around on the thing? I perfect.
I bet you twirled it great.
It was amazing.
It
was amazing. And honestly, in all jobs, I realized there's always somebody that you bump heads with. And it came to a point where exactly what you said. It's just you learn from those people because you start really questioning not necessarily who you are, but just what you do and how you learn and what you can absorb from it. So that's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and refocus a little bit on just pirate questions. It's gonna be a little bit more SOT. I know that we've already passed the mark, so I'm just gonna get it focused on the questions that my community has for you.
Yeah. Hit me fast. I'll just give the answer.
Okay, so I gotta ask. This might be a question that could put your stealing formula.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, on the spot. So feel free to not answer any of this.
Okay.
But your 5 favorite tucking spots.
The one that works. That's it. That's the only
one that works.
I have.
Okay, perfect.
No, that's the serious answer. Like I've tucked in the most ridiculous place because that's the only available tuck spot. You gotta use what you got. I have a video that shows all the spots. Like there's a video I have that shows all the spots. So obviously there's some go-tos, but really at the end of the day, none of those matter if they know where to look. It's constant. If you want to be a good tucker in Sea of Thieves, you want to steal treasure and you want to hide on people's ships, you got to understand how to read people. And read other players. Okay. That's it. Like that's the ticket.
That's the key.
Like, if I'm going up against a sweat lord, I know I need to think a little bit further in advance than what a sweat lord would do. Like like you'll see me play. You'll see me talk. It's like you can't play their strengths. It's like sweat lords are really good at TDM. They're really good at their shots. They're really good at cannons, but they're not super great with improv. They're not super great when like you launch a mega keg from a harpoon at their boat because they don't know what to do with that. Like, they lost and I won because you didn't think about that. But I'm over here in the corner experimenting with some pirate shenanigans, some pirate tech with my friend Green, and all of a sudden we discovered you can launch a keg with a rowboat, and we used that and we won. Like I don't know what to do with that. So, anyways.
That is awesome.
A tucking spot that works. That's the best answer. And
that's awesome.
Really no wrong answer on that.
For the longest time, I've always watched TV shows that really inspired me, like DBZ, Goku and Vegeta, like Peanut Butter Jelly, all that stuff. There's always a hero and somebody that can help you grow. Do you have an arc nemesis on SOT? Or somebody?
I used to, I think. I used to back in the day. I did, yeah.
Yeah, like somebody that you would consistently, not necessarily find, but somebody that that helped you grow because you would go up against them, and if like he tucked on this.
Oh, I thought you meant like a real nemesis.
Like no, not not in real life.
A couple of those.
The only arc nemesis I ever had in real life was a little kid, was a 10-year-old. It was when Pokemon Go came out. That gym was right by my house, and I could tell that every single time I would come back from work, that gym would be taken over. And one day, and I would go take it over before pulling into my house. I was all about Pokemon Go at those days. Like I was Ash Ketchum in my mind. Yeah. And so I remember one day that kid was walking down and we locked eyes, and I knew what slow motion was because I knew that it was him and he knew that it was me. And we've been doing this little give and take for about a month, and I realized I cannot believe I have an arch nemesis that is 10 years old. And like Pokemon Go did a lot for me. I know that I would always measure up just how much of a hardcore gamer a person can be because of how far you would go in catching a Pokemon. But never mind that. Never mind. Oh, that's other story. So you did have an arch nemesis in the past as far as SOT as a pirate.
Yeah. Not in a funny way either. Like this guy had a personal vendetta against me.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Let's not pull on that thread.
No names, but they're out there. As far as like in a joking way, I don't know if there's any. I'm sure some people don't like me.
What top 3 things would you add to SOT?
Oh man.
Yeah, no, it can be like anything. It can be front cannons on your ship, which I totally disagree
Okay.
with, but
Yeah,
but
yeah, I
yeah.
just do too. Like, we're not talking improvements to the game. We're just talking like things I'd
No,
like to see added.
very flexible question though.
Okay,
If you feel
cool.
there's something that has to
I
be
would
said,
love more tools, like focused on tools. So, like, I think
tools.
rowboat was added. That added a lot of different styles of stealing and fun elements. So, like, that was
Okay.
a tool that was added. I really don't like the direction of adding like tall. Like, not that tall tales bad, but like I don't like content that's like added that's just content's sake of like this new thing. I would rather new tools added to the sandbox. That's what I would love. So
Okay.
one of the tools I think would be so fun would be like the ability to bury a keg and then take some wood planks, like maybe say 3 wood planks, and then make a little trip, like a
Oh,
pressure
like a
plate.
trinket.
Yeah, like a pressure plate. So like you
Yeah.
walk over it and you blow up.
Oh, a
Like,
mine.
yeah, kind of. Like, it'd be so fun. Like, there's so much you could do with that, you know? So it's like when I think of stuff, that's the kind of thing that I'd like to see in Sea of Thieves. Just
Okay.
like new tools that wouldn't make it overpowered. Like I talk about like the Ashen Wind Skull. Like the Ashen Wind Skull to me is like the flamethrower on it sucks. It's not very great. It's a mean
Yeah.
weapon at best. And then when they pitched it and they first talked about it, it's like it's a flamethrower, you can use it. It doesn't really work. I
Yeah.
would have like imagine the Ashen Wind Skull improved, where it's like the flamethrower works a little bit better. If
Yeah.
you use it on someone's ship, it like does a lot of damage. It's like a bunch of wraith balls because you have to get on their ship to do it. It'd be crazy. But then
Yeah.
on top of that, you could use it as like a rocket boost. So it's like you're trying to get away, and then you just like see this flamethrower on the back, like a Kamehameha, and it's just
Yeah.
like it's like blasting the ship's like blasting away. And like maybe if you use it too much, your masts will get knocked down. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I already tried it with a keg. It doesn't work.
yeah, no, but it would be hilarious to see like you just like you're about to roll up on this like sloop, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Get wrecked, nerds!" And then he just like uses the Ashen Wind Skull and he's like blasts away. You know,
Oh,
it'd be hilarious. I don't know if it would be good.
That'll be like a Roadrunner type of thing. It's like, hey, you got away.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And finally, as far as the questions that I would give you, because I know that we're a little bit short on time, if you could be remembered for one thing as a pirate and your reputation in Sea of Thieves, for one thing, what would it be? Because I know that ultimate thief.
Yeah.
We've already covered that right at the beginning, and I would say
Probably
ultimate thief.
I don't know if I would be out. I would want to be, honestly, it'd be like if someone thinks of Hitbo, they're like, man, Hitbo. He's pulled off some crazy steals.
Exactly.
But I'm not talking steals like where he just like killed everybody and stole it. I'm like, how did he manage to take that chest of legends off the front of the galleon while the whole galleon crew was there, jump into the water and not be seen? How did that happen? Like,
yeah.
If there's anything, it'd be like, man, Hippo's the most Jack Sparrow pirate in the game. Like, I don't know how he wins all the time. He's just a big goofball and he's always failing, but somehow his failures work. Like, that would be it. Because I think that's how it works for me. It feels like it's like you say best thief, I'm like, I say lucky thief. Like, if you go back, no, I'll give you a great example.
Yeah.
The first Chest of Fortune steal that I got in season 9 was against Fox, Foxdie, and Shumba. These guys are amazing at the game. OGs, incredibly good at the game. They know everything about everything. They're way better than I am. Incredibly good. Just like, I don't know how we ended up going against them, but we did. And then you watch this video, so you go back and watch it. From my perspective, you see like me fumbling the ball. Like, so at the very end, they drop their sails. There's at Keel Hall. They're heading west, and I shoot out from a cannon, and I get on the boat, and I knock, I think it was Shumba off, or I killed Shumba or something like that. I think it was Fox, actually. I knocked Fox off, and I trying to steal the Chest of Fortune. That's what we all care about. It's the literal first one. It's like the first server of season 9. Like, this was it. I'm looking for the Chest of Fortune. I'm panicking. I know they're about to come on back. I'm going to die. And so I find the Chest of Legend. I chuck it overboard. I don't know why I did that. I literally, in my mind, I'm like, I had no idea why I did that. I think I instinctively grabbed that first. I'm like, oh, that's the one I don't want. So I chucked it over. And I kept looking. Couldn't find it. I think Shumba came back. I knocked Shumba off or something like that. I don't exactly remember. But it was just me messing up, failing terribly. Finally found the Chest of Fortune, jumped off. Green picked me up and we got away with it. And for me, For me, I was messing up. I was like barely making it. I didn't know what was happening. I couldn't find the
Yeah.
chest of fortune, all this stuff. Then I went back and watched Fox's perspective. From Fox's perspective, he's talking to this way that's like, man, this guy, like, he knows what he's doing. Like, oh,
There
he's got
you
the
go.
chest of fortune off the boat right now. There's the chest of legends, actually, because I chucked it off. And he, like, I think he thought that I did that intentionally to throw him off. I didn't.
And
I just,
yeah, that was straight up it.
I'm just trying to figure. I was like from their perspective, everything was going right, and from my perspective, everything was going wrong, and somehow it worked. That's the funniest part to me, because they're amazing at the game. They're really, really good. So like,
Yeah.
from their perspective, it looked like I was like 3 steps ahead of them. But from my
Yeah.
perspective, I was panicking.
It
I didn't know
was-
what was happening. Like, I didn't know where the chest of fortune was. I was freaking out. Like,
You were the real Jack Sparrow.
that's what it felt like, because like it's like you see all those movies where it's like all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah.
you know, he pulls off the steals or whatever. Like, that's what it feels like to me all the time. Like, I don't know how I do
Wow.
it, but there you go.
That is awesome. You, sir, are going to strike fear into the people that are about to put an Athena voyage down, for sure. To the very least, I want to definitely thank you, Hitbo. You've been absolutely amazing. I just have 4 quick questions for you.
Yeah.
From my community, and I know really work with me here, because it's a question that I feel like that person has to be really open minded. What do you, and it's from Kelzun, from my community. I promise that I'd go ahead and just tell you guys tell you about these. What do you what would you do in a butterfly zombie apocalypse? We probably reacted the same way when I first heard this, but if butterflies were zombies and there was an apocalypse,
Get a big fly swatter. I mean, they bite me and I become a zombie. Like, what are we talking about? Like
they're just
are
zombies.
They're just gonna eat me slowly. It's a butterfly. Okay? There's not
My
one.
fear
There's
is
not
that-
many of them. I'll go out there with WD-40 and a lighter. You know, like, get wrecked, nerd.
That is perfect. Ruby, my wife, I promised her that I would ask this question, and you can definitely do it briefly. I know it sounds like a profound question, but you can do it in a few words. If you could do it in a few words, what is the secret to streamer success?
Oh,
We've covered a lot. If in a few words you can more or less pitch what could be something for our fellow streamers in the Discord as the words for streamer success. It could be never give up or stuff like that. Always work hard.
blaze your glory. Isn't that the new X thing?
Blaze your glory.
I'm just joking. I think that's the new like X tagline or something like that, or Twitter tagline. I don't know. It goes back to the stuff we've already been talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, as a streamer,
Find your identity.
You got to know who you are, so that
Yeah,
you
you go.
know who you're not. Stop trying to pretend to be a streamer that you're not. Like, I don't sit there and watch other streamers try to be like them. I watch
Yeah.
other streamers to kind of understand what makes them tick, and then what are they doing that I can improve on. I
Yeah.
really watched Mason early on for that, like that connection with the community. He does a great job with that.
Gotcha.
He's got a really natural talent with that, and honestly, I've told him all this all the time. Like, he'd be a great like coach for streamers.
Yeah.
Like, he would just sit there and like,
Oh, that'd be amazing.
kind of like the perspective of like, this is what you need to do. You just got to be you. You got to talk to me. It's all about the people. It's not about what you're playing. That's just
Yeah.
the second nature of it. But too many
Gotcha.
times streamers try to be somebody that they're not, or try to pretend to be somebody that they're not, or try to put this facade on. It's just be you. And if
Yeah.
you doesn't work, then maybe you shouldn't be a streamer.
There you go.
Streaming isn't for everybody. It really isn't. Like, a lot of people get really hurt with comments and things that people say about them. Like, streaming is a very public thing. Like, it's a very in-your-face thing all the time. So like, if people's comments really bother you and offend you and like hurt you, like, if words hurt you, you got to be careful in this line of streaming, because this is what it's. I mean, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people get really crushed and hurt too. It's like, for me, it's like, you got to have a thick skin, because this is a very public thing. You go through my YouTube channel and you read all the comments on people. I think they're hilarious. I actually screenshot them and I'll save them in my little thing. People are so funny. I always respond to them because it cracks me up. But like, a lot of people say a lot of hurtful things.
Yeah.
As a streamer, you got to know who you are. So when those comments come around, it doesn't really phase you, because it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, Hippo, I don't like that you do dad jokes. I'm like, dude, I'm a dad. Sorry, it's
Yeah.
gonna come out. Can't help it, bro.
And the very last question, I know that it actually has a little bit to do with what you just mentioned with the hate. Let's call them the haters, in a way. A friend of mine called Riley. She's a fan. She's always on your chat every single day. She's amazing, and she watches your stream because your attitude, your demeanor, the person that you are, cheers her up every single time that she watches your stream.
That's awesome.
But she was wondering, how do you keep it up? She was literally saying you stay so positive, even in, and that's what we you just mentioned, even in the eyes or even in the presence of let's say toxic players, but the negative aspect of it, you stay so positive and you tackle that so well. And she was just wondering, how do you do it? Is it Madrinas?
That stuff, yeah.
There you go. So that's the question.
Great question. You know, I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but I'll try to give a little more insight on this. Would be like I'm very thankful for everything in my life is because of other people. So I come from a place of gratitude and thankfulness. So when people, like, I get to do a really cool job every day, and I get to meet a lot of people, and I get to talk to a lot of cool people, and like I enjoy what I do a lot. And then at the core of it all, it's like I know who I am and I know who I'm not, and so like it's easier to stay positive when it's like it's all about perspective. I would say it's like as long as you have the right perspective in a situation, you're gonna be okay. So when people, like when the games, when Steve, and I do rage a little bit because Sea of Thieves gets me really upset sometimes, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? This is still the most amazing, silly, stupid game I've ever played, and I love it so much. Gosh darn it. Like, I cannot play it for a day and then I miss it the next day and I want to play it more. So it's like, just stuff like that, you know, it's good. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's great.
It's easy to be positive when you reflect on your life and you're constantly evaluating the situation and yourself, and like serving others, maybe. It's like if your life isn't about you, it's easy to be positive because it's like you're sitting there loving on other people, you're putting others first, you're serving others, and so like you're not sitting there trying to man, I don't know, that's all the stuff I've said, you know. It's just like and maybe it's just how I'm wired too. Like I'm always about perspective. Is that word that I usually say with Mrs. Hippo. So if I were to summarize it, it's like perspective. It's like, hey, this situation sucks. Well, let's talk about some perspective. Like, it kind of sucks to do this, but it could be worse.
That's I've always been an engine man, and I gotta admit, I always see it as like tools to tackle the right problem.
Yeah.
And so I feel that that's exactly it. It's what you mentioned is identity is perspective. With the right perspective, you'll be able to solve the problem in the right way.
Yeah.
And so that's Hitbo. I want to say thank you. I know that we've passed the mark, so I'm going to go ahead and let you do your thing because I know you got the plans,
I'm about to start
schemes.
Streaming right now is what's about to happen. I want to today.
I want to give you all of the good vibes in the world. I know you're not competing. I know that you have the goal of reaching 1,000 Athena. Let me say that again: 1,000 Chess of Legends
like
by the end of the year.
And we only need like 150 left.
Oh my lord, dude!
We're on the way.
At this point, you're gonna find them in Hunt Showdown. Like, I congratulate you, sir, with your amazing achievements. More than anything, I want to thank you because of the fact that you've given us such an amazing perspective on life, and not just that, on gaming, and just showing us who you are. We are in the Olive Nebula community. We're always going to support you, and I'll see you on stream soon.
Dude. Much love. Thank you for the invite.
Yes, sir. You're the man.
Had a lot of fun.
As always.
All right, dude.
I'll see you, brother.
See you, dude.
Alrighty, everybody. That has been the amazing HitboTC. I hope that y'all enjoyed the stream. I know that I definitely did. He is, for everybody that doesn't know, he is one of the people that has really inspired me. Has really inspired me as far as Sea of Thieves and just personal growth and all that. So this is Ship and Salsa. I hope that y'all like it. I hope that y'all can tune in the near future. And the next subject, we're going to go live on next Friday, I believe. Remember, the human relationships, personal growth, gaming culture. If y'all are interested in any of these things, join me, Julio Hessingtron, and I'll see y'all on the flip side.